Hey guys, it's 6:30. Welcome to Peaceful Yoga. A couple of things before we get started. First of all, I wanted to make anybody aware who wasn't aware that we're going to be here a little bit longer. And I think some people are happy. I think some people are very disappointed. I think a lot of people I've talked to kind of fall somewhere in the middle. But this is definitely for me. I've tried to find the good in all of this and not just feel like I hit the pause button on my life. And I keep coming back to the whole concept of it's about the journey, not the destination. So if we can really keep kind of redirecting ourselves back towards this idea that we are embracing this whole, not necessarily this process, but this time in our lives, because our life is not on pause. This is part of our life too, and we'll look back on that one day and realize it. So I just really encourage everybody to try and embrace each moment and look at it and see what lessons do we need to get out of this experience before our lives are unpaused and we move back into everyday life, which will happen eventually. So anybody who wasn't aware, I hope that doesn't put a damper on your practice, but I wanted to mention it because I also want to take this time when the pause button is pressed to really explore what everybody wants to see once we get back in the studio. I've realized a lot of things for myself, like that I am not a person to teach a class called Peaceful Yoga. That is not who I am. And so this class I actually will be renaming in the near future, but it will basically stay the same. The name will just more, it will fit what I teach more. And one of my other teachers that hopefully everybody's had the pleasure to meet, Haley, will be more than likely taking over my Peaceful Yoga class because she is the most peaceful person you'll ever meet in your life. And so that way I match the class to fit who I am, the kind of teacher I am, and I feel like I can be more authentic to you guys. And on that note, I really invite you to give me feedback, to tell me what you want, and we'll start experimenting with online classes so that by the time we're back in the studio, we can just take a fresh approach and do some things that are completely different and just move in a different direction. So again, this is not a pause in our lives. This matters too. This is part of our life. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our practice. If you want to sit either in a comfortable cross-legged position or on your heels, if that's comfortable, and get nice and long through the spine. And this is why I suggest, if you're comfortable, to sit on your heels, because it's a little bit easier to get tall, but that's okay. You can also, if you have a block or a nice solid cushion, you can lift your hips above your feet, and this just helps to lengthen the spine, or you can muscle it up and just lengthen it all by yourself. And then I invite you to bring your hands over your heart. And let's just start to draw everything to heart center. So any chatter that's swirling around in your head, any disappointment, any excitement, fears, reservations, any of it, just recognize that as exactly what it is. It's noise. It's just steam coming off the human condition. It's not your identity. It's not part of your higher self. So when you connect with heart center, with that observer, you can start to transcend all of that, if only a little. So really start to focus on the heart center and on your breath. And with each breath, don't try and force the noise away. Just let that noise soften. Then let the muscles in your face soften. Let your shoulders soften down your back. Let your throat soften. And while you still remain long through the center of your body, let your belly soften. One more breath. Let your hands fall to your side. With your next inhale, press gently into the mat with your fingertips. Lift up through the chest. As you exhale, start to roll your shoulders forward and pull the middle part of your back towards the wall behind you. And then as you inhale, press the chest forward, create an arch in the back, and lift the chin. Again, exhale, shoulders drop forward, back rounds, chin presses to chest, and inhale, the whole front of your body opens up. One more breath. And come to center. Next, inhale, sweep both arms overhead. Clasp your left wrist with your right hand and exhale to the right. Inhale up to center. Left hand grabs the right wrist. Exhale to the left. Okay, come back up to center. Switch the wrist. And this time we're really going to focus on getting nice and long through the spine before we reach to the right. And then just start to rotate slightly open, like you're trying to look over that left shoulder. And just the most subtle little rotation. And inhale up. Other side, lengthen, lengthen. Reach to the left. And then gently start to rotate and gaze past that right shoulder. And inhale up. Go ahead and if you have a block under your hips, you can move the block out. And let's come on to our hands and knees in tabletop. So let's just start with some organic movement. We've got our hands slightly ahead of our shoulders, our knees slightly behind our hips. And this is going to just give us a little bit more room. And then just start to move with your body's intuition. Maybe circle around in one direction and the other. Maybe you want to wag your tail side to side if your hips are tight. Round your back. You might just want to go into a conventional cat and cow if that feels good. Whatever feels good. Maybe circle the rib cage. One more breath. Really tune into your body. And then come to a nice static tabletop. Get nice and strong through the middle part of your body. Brace your spine and inhale that right leg straight back. Square the right hip or the right thigh with the mat. And then we're going to rotate open. Drop this right foot to the floor and extend the left arm overhead. If it feels okay, you can start to reach that left arm over the ear and create a nice long line all the way from the tip of the right toe to the tip of the middle right finger. See where you can create just a little bit more length along that whole chain. And then if it feels okay, go ahead and lift that right leg a little bit up off the ground. See if you can make that line a little straighter. And and unwind. Right foot comes, or I'm sorry, right hand comes down to the mat, and then that right foot's going to cross behind the left leg and turn to look at the right toes. Don't drop down through the shoulders. Stay nice and tall in both arms. Get nice and solid through your core and long through your spine. This ensures that the stretch is coming from your hip. And inhale the right leg up. Exhale down. Other side. Square everything up. Nice and solid through the middle part of the body. Brace the spine. Inhale the left leg up. Square the left thigh with the mat. Hugging all those belly muscles. And then start to rotate open. Left arm reaches towards the ceiling. Left toes come to the ground. If it feels okay, you extend that left arm over the ear. Reach the toes as far in one direction and the fingers as far in the other direction as you can. And then maybe you lift that left leg up a little bit. And it, in essence, creates a little bit more of a straight line. Still reaching the fingers and the toes as far apart as you can. And then bring that left hand down. Cross the left leg behind the right leg. And rotate to look at the right toes. Don't collapse to the shoulders. Make sure you stay up nice and tall. Core is still engaged. And inhale the left leg up and bring it back to tabletop. Okay, we're going to start to create a little bit more heat in the body. And I really want to focus on hips and lower back this evening. So go ahead and inhale this right leg back up. And you've got a couple choices here. If you're not looking to create a bunch of heat all at once, then maybe you just open this left leg out to the side. Otherwise, we're going to bring the, I'm sorry, not left leg, right leg. Bring that leg out to the side. Flex the foot. And just play around with your positioning here. So first of all, focus on your hand position. Make sure you've got your weight evenly distributed in both hands. Make sure you're not collapsing down into that left shoulder. Really engage the core. And again, you can be here if it feels like a little much to be out here. And bring that leg straight down, or I'm sorry, straight behind you. Press it up. You should feel a nice good stretch in the lower back. And then bring it down, come into child's pose. Big breath here. And inhale up. I'm going to turn around, make sure you guys can see me. So we're going to get nice and solid in this tabletop again. Inhale the left leg up for real this time. And then you've always got that option to just pull the knee out to the side and flex the foot, or bring that leg out straight and flex the foot. Check in with the arms. Is your weight evenly distributed? Are you collapsing into that right shoulder? See if you can press back up. The core should be nice and engaged here. And come all the way back and lift that left leg up. And come into child's pose. So doing these kind of exercises at the beginning of your yoga practice can really start to activate certain muscles in your hips that can really help support your pelvis and your spine. So it makes for a more lively practice, but also a more supported and safe practice. And inhale, come back up into tabletop. curl the toes under. And instead of going right into down dog, we're gonna do this like we're in a freeze frame film. So first, we're just gonna press into the toes and hug in around the belly button. Press in through the hands. And then we're just gonna barely lift the knees off the ground, just barely. Hugging all those muscles around the spine again. And now we're gonna shift the hips up and slightly back. And we're starting to open up under the arms just a little bit. We're gonna hold here for a second. And then we're gonna go to the next freeze frame. We're gonna barely send our hips back some more. And again, almost there. And come all the way into down dog. Deep breaths. So take a second in down dog, a few seconds actually, to really set yourself up in this pose. Hands should be nice and spread apart. Your fingers aren't necessarily spread as wide as you can get them, but I always like to compare it to the roots of trees. Think about how you see those roots going firmly into the ground. And that's what your fingers should look like. They're rooting you into the ground. And then you're pressing the heels back behind you. So it's not just up or down towards the mat, but back behind you. And notice how that automatically tilts your pelvis a little bit. And what we're really aiming for in down dog is a straight back. And remember, if you get tired, as I talk and talk and talk, there's always an open invitation to come into child's pose in any yoga practice. One more breath here. And inhale, step the right foot forward and bring the left knee down. Okay, let's start by walking our hands up to the thigh. And lift up through the chest. Get nice and long through the spine. And then really focus on your inner thighs. Envision an imaginary line running through the two thighs. And you're trying to press the thighs, kind of hug the thighs slightly in, not the knees, but the thighs slightly in towards each other, in towards that invisible line. And you should feel automatically a little bit more engagement in your core. Okay, so from here, you're gonna inhale the arms up, palms face each other, roll the shoulders back and down. Get nice and long through the spine. And then if it feels okay on your next exhale, you're gonna reach both arms to the right. See if you can keep that front knee exactly where it is. Sometimes it wants to drop in on you to kind of create a counterbalance. See if you can keep it pointed directly in the same direction as the toes, which should be pointed directly towards the front of your mat. One more breath. And inhale up nice and long. Bring the left hand down to the mat and inhale the right arm up. From here, try and wrap that right arm around the back and press the back of the hand into the lower back to see if you can just rotate open a little bit more. And again, check in with that front knee. Now it's going to want to drop open on you. Inhale, arm comes up. And exhale, it floats down. Send the hips back and hover over the front leg. Nice flat back. So a lot of times we make the mistake of sitting completely back on the heel here and really rounding. And that's not what we're trying to do. We should have not much smaller than a 90-degree angle bend in that back leg. And instead, our back should be nice and flat, chest lifted, so that we can really hover over this front leg, ideally with a nice flex foot. Big breath. I just saw some really good adjustments. Awesome, you guys. And shift forward, step back into down dog.
couple breaths in down dog. Really cultivate your down dog and tweak it. Especially if you don't like down dog, I promise you, if you really explore it and find that straight spine and that point where one side of your body supports the other, for most people it becomes almost pleasurable anyway. One more breath. And inhale the left foot forward. Walk the hands up on the thigh. Good, so take a second to re-envision that imaginary line running through the two legs. Hug the inner thighs together. Lift up through the chest. And then inhale the arms overhead. Good, stay nice and long through the spine. And then on your next exhale, reach to the left. Watch that left knee. See if it crept in on you. See if you can get it back pointed directly in the same direction as the toes. Try hugging those thighs together again. Long spine. One more breath here. And let that right hand come down to the mat. Left hand extends up. Long spine. Deep breath. Check in with that left knee. Make sure it's not doing something weird. And then maybe wrap that left hand around the back. Press the top of the hand into the lower back and open up a little bit more. One more breath here. And inhale up. Exhale, left hand comes down and we shift our hips back. Again, we're not sitting on this back heel. We're hovered over this front leg, foot flexed. We're basically doing a movement that's the opposite in a lot of ways of when we sit. We sit with bent legs and we kind of round forward. So we're offsetting that. We're creating length in the back of the leg. We're opening up through the chest. We're flattening the back. One more breath here. And start to shift forward. Step back into down dog. Big breath in down dog. And slowly start to walk the feet towards the hands. We meet in standing forward fold. Couple breaths here. So really drive the heels down into the mat, but keep that soft bend in the knees. If you've got your camera, oh, everybody has their camera on. If you can see yourself in the camera, see if you can get your hips positioned right over your heels and still keep your heels pressed into the mat. And you may have to bend your knees to do that, but just play around with that. And then try walking your hands, one handprint forward without shifting your hips. And then press your underarms towards your legs. So you're opening up through your shoulders a little bit more. But again, soft bend in the knees. We're not locked out. Next, inhale, slide the hands up the shins, extend out through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold down, and inhale comes all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Step out long ways on your mat. So feet are nice and wide. And again, we've got this tiny little micro bend in the knees. A good rule of thumb is, other than when you're passively laying down, you really never have a reason to lock out your knees. Soft knees or safe knees. I'm coining that. Soft knees or safe knees. Okay,
Press the outsides of your feet into the mat. Don't lock out your knees. Bring your hands to your hips and lift up through your chest. So you're staying nice and long through your spine. You've got a nice flat back. Start to hinge forward. Come halfway. Imagine you're creating a tabletop with your back. Somebody's going to come down, set a drink on it. That's where you want your back to be. In order to do that, you're going to press your chest slightly forward. You're going to roll your shoulders back and down. You're going to hug all those muscles around your spine. And then if it feels okay, extend your arms straight out. Keep that soft bend in the knees. Squeeze the behind. That's going to help support your spine. And then exhale, come all the way down. If you need a block or a stool or any kind of furniture to help you go all the way down, go ahead and grab something. Again, lift up through the chest. Keep those shoulders pulled back and down and keep your hips in a completely fixed position. So the hips aren't going to shimmy in either direction. As we inhale this right arm up, we rotate to look at it and exhale it down, other side. Inhale the left arm up and come down. Again with your own breath, each side. The next time your right arm floats up, we hold. Really focus on those hips. See if you need to get them back parallel again. And exhale down. The left arm up and hold. Check in with the hips. And exhale down. Bend the knees and close about half the distance with the feet. And we're going to come into a yogi squat if this feels okay. Sometimes our knees don't like this. You can always bring your hands down to the ground if this feels like too much pressure on your knees. But what we're trying to accomplish is to flatten our feet and then nice and tall. So we don't want to be down here. We want to press our elbows into our knees, sink our hips back down towards the floor, and really lift up through the chest. I love a good yogi squat. If you have a lot of trouble with your knees, that might not be right for you, but for me, it's really helped with a lot of my hip pain. I notice a difference when I do this on a regular basis. I really recommend it. And bring your hands to the mat. Bring your hips up, sway, shake everything out. And then let's heel toe our feet together. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold down and step back into down dog. Big breath in down dog. Next inhale, right leg floats up. Bend the knee, open the hip. And let that right leg come parallel with the mat and step all the way through. We're going to spin and drop the left foot and bring the toes where they're pointed towards the front left corner of the mat. You can walk your hands up your leg if you need to. You can bring your hands to your hips, or you can get solid through your core and come all the way up into Warrior One. So on your next inhale, lift up through the chest, get long through the spine. On the exhale, reach to the right. Both arms reach to the right. Inhale up. This time we're going to bring our arms parallel with the mat, and we're going to exhale to the right again. Inhale up and exhale side angle. So our right forearm is on our right thigh. Our left arm is extended over our ear as long as we can stay open through the shoulder. If we can't, maybe this left hand is just on the hip. And exhale, come all the way down into down dog. Big breath. Next inhale, left leg floats up, bend at the knee, open the hip.
And left leg comes parallel and steps all the way through. Spin and drop the right foot. The right toe should be pointed towards the front right corner of the mat. Either walk your hands up your thigh, bring your hands to the hips, or inhale all the way up into warrior one. Next, inhale, lift up to the chest, get long through the spine. Exhale, reach both arms to the left. Inhale up, arms come parallel, and exhale to the left. Inhale up, and exhale, side angle. So again, you're not collapsed to the front of the body. You'd be better off to have your arms straight up or have your hand on your hip. Big breath here. And windmill both hands down, step back into down dog. One more big breath here. And then shift forward into a plank. Press forward with your chest. Nice, strong through the center of your body. Squeeze your behind. Press your heels straight back. Hug all those muscles in around the spine. And then come to your knees if you need to. Pull your elbows back to either side of your body and slowly lower down. Bring the hands straight out to your side, palms facing down. As we inhale, we rise up for lotus. Shoulders back and down. Legs parallel. Lift up through the chest and breathe. Deep breaths. I know it's hard. One more breath here. Maybe interlace the hands behind the back if you'd like. And slowly lower down. Press back into child's pose. And then we're going to come into tabletop, cross the ankles, and come all the way to a seated, and then down on your back. So we're going to start with our knees hugging into our chest. Really pull them in nice and tight. And then inhale this right leg up, flex the foot, press as much real estate in your back as you can into the mat. So really focus on every little square inch of contact that your back has with the mat. And see if you can maintain that contact as you slowly lower that right leg down. And slowly bring it back up. Other side. Really press the back firmly into the mat. And make it unyielding, unmovable as you lower down and bring it back up. Extend both legs up, flex the feet. So if you had trouble keeping your back flat on the mat, you're going to go back to the single leg lowers. This obviously is going to take more force. Press your back into the mat as firmly as you can as you lower both legs down. You can always bend the legs if you need to. And bring them back up. Pull the knees into the chest again. And then shoulders and head are up off the floor. Extend the arms out to either side. Flex the hands. Deep breath. Hollow out the belly. Really pull that belly button in. And then inhale the arms up. Open the knees. Keep the feet together. And then rise back up. And bring the arms to the inside of the legs. Flex the hands. Make it a deliberate movement. Scoop out the belly. Inhale the arms up, knees come together. Exhale, rotate to the right side of the body. Flex the hands, make it deliberate. Scoop out the belly. And inhale up, left side. Inhale up and exhale, lower down. Feet are flat on the mat. And a common mistake that we make with bridges is sometimes we want to grab our feet and walk our feet as close to our hips as we can. We don't necessarily want to do that. We don't want our feet too far away, but we don't want to walk them up so close that our knees hyperextend past our toes either. So just a nice comfortable distance from your hips. Press in through your arms and your heels as you power your hips up. Really focus on the squeeze right through this middle part of your behind. This is a huge part of our support system, especially with keeping our pelvis stable. And hold. Really start to feel that engagement. The longer you hold a bridge, you'll really start to feel it kind of, that shakiness kind of creeping up through your lower back and your obliques. Give everything one last squeeze and lift. And lower down, bring your knees into your chest, roll everything out. Left foot comes flat on the mat, right leg extends overhead. Grab that right leg anywhere on the back side. Just kind of move it around any way that feels right. Maybe give it a massage. And then keep the right foot flexed and rotate the toes outward. So you're rotating the heel in towards your other leg. We're going to keep that rotation as we bend the right leg and prop that heel on the left knee. And then gently kind of rock that right knee open. Start to sway the left knee side to side. And then see if you can drop that left knee all the way over to the left. Still keeping that right leg crossed over. And then maybe you reach both hands over to the right. Okay, slowly unwind, come to center, and then pull that left knee in. Flex the right foot. Notice how this changes the stretch. And slowly lower. Right foot comes down flat on the mat. Extend the left leg up. Flex the foot. Grab that leg anywhere on the back chain. Maybe massage your leg. Remember, this time, especially at the end of your yoga practice, is about nurturing yourself. Go ahead and rotate that left leg open. Keep that rotation as you bring the left ankle down, rock the knee. And this is really how you can look at this time during this pause in life, is set goals. Find not goals to force weight off of yourself or to do some extreme thing that you hate yourself for. Go ahead and drop that knee over to the right. But instead, the goal of nurturing yourself. Decide, especially if you have extra time on your hands, decide, like, how can I come out of this as a more whole, calm, peaceful person? Because again, the pause button is not hit. This is part of our lives too. And slowly rise up. Bring that right knee in. Grab it anywhere on the back chain. Maybe try flexing the left foot. And slowly lower. Right foot in the right hand, left foot in the left hand. Happy baby. Maybe rock side to side. And then start to extend your legs out. Let your arms fall loose to your side as you make your way into Shavasana. Remember, Shavasana can look however you want it to. It can be any resting pose where you can just passively kind of let go of your body. So wherever you're at, just take a quick scan of yourself. It could be your physical self. It could be your psychological or spiritual self. Just scan yourself for some tension. Could be tension in your face, or it could be some kind of tension in your heart, your thoughts, maybe some rigidity or just some kind of unwillingness to accept something. And you might not be ready to let go of whatever that is. You might not want to completely lean into it, but maybe you can just soften a little bit. And that seems to always begin with the breath. So when something kind of catches in your throat or have trouble letting go, instead of trying to force it out, just take a deep breath and just sit with it. Draw your awareness back towards the heart center. That same space we observed during the beginning of our practice. See if you feel a little bit more open, maybe a little bit more peace. And it's always there. It's always in you. Remember, you don't need to go to a studio to find it. You don't need to travel to another country. You don't even have to put on a video. Just turn inward or go to your mat. It's always there. Always. Begin to make movement in any way that feels right for your body. You may want to stretch your arms and legs long. Or you may want to pull your knees in and rock back and forth. Just take a few more moments to listen to your body's intuition and see what you need in these final movements before coming to a seated position.
And then as you feel ready, you can begin to rise to a seated position. And I invite you once more to place your hands over heart center, to honor that place in you that never changes. Everything around us changes. Our bodies, our worlds, everything. The observer, your higher self, that magical spark of life that's been in you since you took your first breath. It's always there. It's unchanging. And once we can acknowledge that in ourselves, we can acknowledge that in others. And we realize that we're all the same. We're all connected. And thank you guys so much for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.